What up, guys? Knowledge of self-determination. So I'm going to talk a little bit about boxing. Just real quick. I might do videos later on about this, but shout out to fucking Terrence Crawford, man. Big ups to Bud Terrence Crawford, or Terrence Bud Crawford. I can't congratulate this kid enough for his history making performance. I cannot give him enough praise or credit for that. But I want to talk about Teddy Atlas and his one of the things I want to talk about, Teddy Atlas and his pound for pound list. I used to have a lot of respect for Teddy Atlas. He is one of the great boxing minds in contemporary times right now. But I do have to say this: Teddy Atlas is smoking fucking crack. Not truthfully, I'm just saying his behaviors and things like that. He sold out basically, like Barbershop Conversation said. He sold out. Teddy Atlas was one of the realest boxing commentators out there. He was one of the realest dudes out there, and he literally sold his soul for a paycheck. Now he did it during the Lomachenko fight. That was the start of it. I think the start of it was the Jeff Horn Pacquiao fight, right? Then the Lomachenko fight. But this was the icing on the cake. He had two of the best fighters in the world in front of him this past Saturday night, and he still bet the farm on Vasily Lomachenko. Now, I just want to say this. I just want to ask this question. How many of you out there that are ranking Vasily Lomachenko as a pound for pound fighter, how many of you would have done that if it wasn't for the push that he was getting from Bob Arum, the push that he was getting from the media? How many of you would even be thinking about this dude? Because his numbers from his last fight show that he doesn't have a real good fan base. In fact, mostly all of his fights show that he doesn't have a really good fan base. How many of you would be pushing for this dude the way that you are? How many of you would say he's a pound for pound fighter the way that you are right now? How many of you? Because I just don't think that a dude with 10 fights is a pound for pound fighter. I don't make pound for pound lists because it's completely subjective, and at the end of the day, it's a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, like I said before, when dudes start collecting all the belts in their division, then holler at me for pound. If I was to make a pound for pound list, yes, I take into consideration what Andre Ward has done. I believe that Andre Ward's resume is better than Terrence Crawford's because Andre Ward has beaten future Hall of Famers. He went through the Super Six. He has names under his belt. He got names on his resume, man, and you can't ever take that away from him. But like I said though, holler at me about pound for pound when these dudes start collecting all the belts. You know what I'm saying? Right now, Terrence Crawford is the first dude to do it in any division in the past, 10, 12, 15 years or so. He's the first person to do it in over a decade. You know what I'm saying? So right now, so far as the pound for pound list is concerned, he's the only one on that motherfucker. If I was to make a pound for pound list, right now he'd be the only name on it because he's the only one that unified his division, remained undefeated, and then stopped another undefeated champion who has stopped another undefeated champion and took his belt. Do you guys see the progression there? Julius Ndongo knocked out an undefeated champion and took his belt, right? This dude came out of Africa like a fucking whirlwind, collected 2 belts, knocked out an undefeated champion, turns around and fights Terrence Crawford, another undefeated champion, gets knocked out by said undefeated champion and lost both his belts to that guy. Who the fuck else is doing that? Gennady Golovkin was supposed to be doing it, then he let himself get bitched by Canelo and the bitch that like to take dildos up the ass. How do you figure that? I could have found myself gaining respect for Gennady Golovkin if he would have went on that journey, because he said it himself, or at least Abel Sanchez said they were trying to beat Bernard Hopkins' record, right? Or trying to match it or beat it, with unified title defenses or some crazy shit like that. And then he let a dude that sniffs coke and wear pink chonies chump him. I'm sorry, but if you let a dude who like to dress up and drag and take it up the ass chump you, I don't even know how much more conversation I can have about you at this point. So moving along, who else has done it? There are tons of great fighters. Andre Ward is a hell of a fighter. Like I said, if I was to make a pound for pound list, Crawford would be number 1 right now. You know what I'm saying? Because he's the only one that has all the belts. Teddy Atlas has lost his fucking mind, and I think Vasily Lomachenko is a fucking pussy. I'm gonna just straight say that. I'm gonna straight say that because he's talking about he wants to fight champion. He only wants to fight the best. But every time it goes to negotiations with him and another fighter, somehow the fucking negotiations always get fucked up, kind of like Adonis Stevens. Every time he goes into negotiations for a big fight, somehow the negotiations get fucked up. Somehow somebody outbids themselves. How was it that you want lowballing these motherfuckers so you can have that, oh, he outbidded? Get the fuck out of here. He outbidded himself. You're the greatest fighter in the fucking world, according to Joe Rogan. How is a motherfucker outbidding himself when they're going up against the greatest fighter in the past 20 years? Oh, no, that was Triple G and Chocolatito. Motherfucking Chocolatito Gonzalez and shit. But they're saying, but Joe Rogan, let Joe Rogan tell it, Lomachenko was the greatest fighter he's ever seen, ever in history. So how the fuck are you outbidding yourself with the greatest fighter ever in history? I mean, please help me understand that. Because they know his ass ain't going to sell, because people see him fighting bullshit competition. Yeah, he fought Gary Russell Jr., who wasn't a pound-for-pound fighter when he fought him. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I watched that fight, I really wasn't overly impressed with Vasyl Lomachenko's performance. I really wasn't. He beat Gary Russell, sure. But that shit wasn't a spectacular ass whipping like when Floyd beat the shit out of Diego Corrales, rest in peace. That was a hell of a fight. That was a hell of a fight. Or the way he schooled the shit out of Arturo Gatti, the way he sunned Canelo ass. Get the fuck out of here. Where the fuck is Vasyl Lomachenko's fight like that? Nicholas Walters sold his he sold himself out, man. I'm not even gonna talk about that dude, man, because he on some fuckboy shit. I'm not even talking about that kid. But please show me where Vasyl Lomachenko, because anybody who talks about him being a pound-for-pound fighter, you really got to scratch and dig on some real shit. Because people, this is the thing. People are projecting what they think he's going to do and labeling him a pound-for-pound fighter now. It's that great white hype shit like everybody keeps talking about. It's that great white hype shit. You know what I'm saying? Erickson Lubin. He's beating the brakes off of dudes. He's not even mentioned in this conversation. Vasyl Lomachenko is a better fighter than Erickson Lubin. He's a better fighter than Money Powell the Fourth. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about dudes who are just coming up. Vasyl Lomachenko doesn't have that many more fights than a lot of these dudes. In fact, some of these dudes have half the fights or more fights than him. And nobody's even mentioning these dudes at all. Let me ask you this. How the fuck is Vasyl Lomachenko better than Canelo? Canelo has one loss. But look who he lost. He lost to fucking Floyd. And after that, I'll give Canelo credit. His skill set has increased. I wouldn't say exponentially, but it has increased somewhat. He definitely takes his craft serious. But you think Vasyl Lomachenko has done more than Canelo Alvarez or any one of the Charlo brothers? I'm not considering either one of the Charlo brothers pound for pound. They have a lot more to do. And that's kind of the point. How the fuck do the Charlo brothers, who Canelo was terrified of when he was hovering around the 154 division, terrified of everybody at 154. He would not fight them dudes. How the fuck is Vasyl Lomachenko better than these dudes, man? Please explain that to me. Who the fuck has Vasyl Lomachenko beaten that was at the level of an Austin Trout? Right? Or Arislandi. I mean, come on. If you're going to ask the question, really ask the question. If you're really going to have this conversation about Vasyl Lomachenko, let's have that conversation, because Vasyl Lomachenko is not a pound-for-pound fighter with fucking 10 fights and 1 loss. When Floyd was running through the lighter divisions, who the fuck was saying he was the pound-for-pound fighter when he had less than 15 fights? I didn't hear anybody saying that about Floyd. And he was beating the brakes off of dudes. You know what I'm saying? Who was saying that about him? Look at what he became. Nobody was saying that about Floyd when he had just 10 fights. No one was saying that about him. Nobody was saying that about him at all. And I'm going to say this. I know a lot of brothers don't agree with this. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to say this. Tank can beat, Gervonta Tank Davis can beat Vasyl Lomachenko. He can beat Vasyl Lomachenko. His skill set, his power, he can beat Vasyl Lomachenko. I'm going to tell you right now, because all those fast-ass combinations that he do, there's no power behind those punches. He's not sitting down on any of those punches. That shit looks good. It's flashy. It may frustrate the fuck out of a fighter who can't deal with his speed, but he ain't hurting nobody with them. I'm telling you right now, when he get in the ring with a dude that got some pop with some cracks, he gonna get his ass lit. The dude Mayaga, or whatever the fuck this dude name is that he fought, already, you know what I'm saying, was already bruised his fucking face up like a motherfucker, so he can be touched. His defense is kind of shitty. You know what I'm saying? But I think Tank can beat him. And in my own personal opinion, I think Tank will fight him. I think that Floyd is trying to build Tank into a pay-per-view star first. That's what I think. Because that's the way Floyd. That's the way Floyd mind works. I'm not saying to be a genius on Floyd Mayweather, thought or nothing like that. But Tank is now being touted as the next Floyd Mayweather. It was Adrian Broner, but I'm not even going to digress into. I'm not even going to take the conversation into that realm, because that's a whole other video on its own. You know what I'm saying? But Tank is being touted as the next Floyd Mayweather, and rightfully so. Yeah, he's a hometown kid. I like Tank. You know what I'm saying? He's from the same city I am. You know what I'm saying? The same town that I frequented. You know what I'm saying? West Baltimore. I frequented that side of town. You know, blah blah blah. Sandtown, where you from? All that. You know what I'm saying? Know a lot of people up there. But anyway, I think Floyd is trying to build Tank into a pay-per-view star. I think he'd like to do it by next year, have Tank pay-per-view ready. I think the Vasyl Lomachenko fight will happen then. You know what I'm saying? If Bob Arum is willing to make that fight. Because I think Tank can beat him now. But I think Floyd wants maximum dollar, because they like to lowball people. They like to lowball people. We've seen it. They lowball the fuck out of people. Vasyl Lomachenko and his team, Bob Arum and all them. They like to lowball, undercut the shit out of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? That is if Guillermo Rigondeaux doesn't beat the fuck out of him first, which I think will happen. I think it will happen. But I just watched a video by Town Biz, and he brought up an excellent point. If Vasyl Lomachenko is such a great fighter, why doesn't he go up 2 weight classes and fight Terrence Crawford? You know, he says he wants to fight Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia beats the shit out of him. I'm telling you right now, Mikey Garcia fucks Vasyl Lomachenko up. He fucks Vasyl Lomachenko up. I truly believe that. But he goes up 2 weight classes and fight Terrence Crawford. That's the end of Vasyl Lomachenko's career. But they'll call Terrence Crawford a weight bully. Nobody wants to see that fight because they know what's going to happen. But he's not a weight bully for daring Rigo to come up 2 weight classes to fight him. Please explain to me the amount of cognitive dissonance you have to use in order to excuse that hypocrisy. He's not a weight bully for dragging Guillermo Rigondeaux up 2 weight classes, but Terrence Crawford would be a weight bully if he came up 2 weight classes to get his ass kicked by Terrence Crawford. How the fuck do you figure that, man? How do you figure that? And here's another thing too, man. And I'm in the video on this. This is why boxing is being ruined. This is why a lot of casual fans don't have a lot of respect for boxing, because we got dumb motherfuckers saying dumb shit like Teddy Atlas. You know what I'm saying? I think this motherfucker done took too many disco biscuits to the fucking head on some real shit. This dude probably got fucking calcium deposits forming around his brain from so many fucking concussions and shit. Or those paychecks just look good enough for him to say fuck his soul. But in any event, this is the kind of shit everyone's boxing. This is the kind of shit that fucks up the viewing pleasure of boxing, because you hype these Eastern European motherfuckers up, and then they get over here to America and they do subpar performances against dudes who are equal to them or better. You know what I'm saying? Because these motherfuckers' skill set is only in one direction. You feel me? Think about it. Most of these Eastern European dudes are all offense. All offense. Headhunter dudes who don't know how to protect their body or take body shots. You understand? I mean, am I making this up? Sergey Kovalev. Look at what Danny Jacobs did to fucking Golovkin. Look at what he did to him. Body shots. You feel me? Get Lomachenko in there with somebody who's not scared to go to his body, and his ass is going to crumble like all these other Eastern European dudes do. He's going to fucking fold like a manila envelope. I'm telling you right now, the dude isn't punching that hard that a motherfucker in a higher weight class won't be willing to exchange or punch with his ass. All I'm saying is, stop blowing these fighters up and making these motherfuckers to be more than what they are before we've seen what they can actually do. Chocolatito got beat by a dude named Sarung Vasai who had minus 70,000% defense. This motherfucker was straight up and down and straightforward, and he flatlined motherfucking Chocolatito at least one time in the fight. Hit this motherfucker in his chest and sent his ass flying across the fucking ring. And this motherfucker... Anyway, that's all I wanted to say, man. Stop, man. Stop blowing these dudes up and gassing these dudes up, man, like they doing some spectacular shit. Vasyl Lomachenko is not doing anything in boxing that I've never seen before. And he's not even the greatest at what he does. And this isn't to take anything away from the dude to throw any shade, but I'm just saying, I've been watching boxing for a long time, and I've seen some great shit. And Vasyl Lomachenko isn't doing anything that fucking great. Put him in the ring with some really stiff competition, and then let's see how he performs. The dude Mariaga wasn't stiff competition, and look at how pitiful his performance was.